Jacob, he's in a panic. He's actually done some things wrong, to be honest. God breaks into his life to sort him out. Moses, um, it's a task, a call, something to do. Gideon, it's a task, a call, something to do. Samuel, it was a task. He had to go and speak some words to Eli that were going to be difficult, and then take up a new task within, as he grew older, within the life of Israel. Isaiah, it was a task, a call, something to do, something that he had to speak. For Zechariah, it was an encouragement. This man had wanted a child. He'd been praying and fasting for that. He, probably more than anyone, had put himself in the place where God could meet him and change his life. And God responded to that, broke in and encouraged him, told him he was going to have a child who would would usher in something very new and something very good from God, who of course was going to be Jesus. Peter, his encounter was, again, something needed to be sorted. Peter's life needed to be restored. The road to Emmaus, the disciples who were on their way, needed to have some revelation of God. Something needed to be revealed to them. They were missing something in their understanding of God. They had seen the crucifixion, felt the despondency, but hadn't yet grasped the resurrection. And they were going to see the resurrected Christ. Saul needed his life sorted out. If anybody needed his life sorted out, it was Saul and you and me. He got his life sorted out, but he was also given a task. John in Revelation was given a task, something to do. Now, as we go down through those, I want you to grasp that sometimes we aren't that, we're not really searching for God. And many of those people weren't searching for God. And I'm not suggesting that's a good thing at all. I think it's a bad way to get into, habit to get into, of not searching for God. But sometimes God breaks into our lives because he sees or hears some other people. There is a need, right? In Samuel's case, that something was going wrong in Israel. God needed somebody to speak. In Isaiah's case, something going wrong in Israel again. God needs somebody who's going to speak. In Moses' case, the slaves, the Hebrew slaves, being persecuted in a terrible way. God's looking for someone who can do something about it. And he breaks into our lives. I want you to grasp that possibility. That if there's need, maybe God is trying to break into your life, wants an encounter with you, because he needs the need sorted out or met. My encounter with God over doing some work down in the St. Aidan's, St. Mary Magdalene thing, was simply being down around that place and seeing need. And the opportunity arose to get involved, and my encounter with God was nothing more complex than that. Of, could I help? Is there something I could do? No flashing lights, but just a deep conviction from God is, yes, you could help. So what could I do but say yes? And there's part of that. Are there people around you who need something from God? Are there situations around you in work or at home or parts of the city or something close to you and you can see the need? Are there is there something I could be doing at Tiny's or in Dunmurry or on the Shankill or in East Belfast or in inner city Belfast or in a social club near me? And something, is there? I've heard the need, the cry, like the slaves in Egypt crying out to God, and God is saying who, where, how, and somehow in your prayer or in your conversation or in your observation of the place or in your walking round it or in your conversation with another person, the need becomes apparent. And if you have the wit to notice God, It may be that an encounter with Him is what's happening there. And another thing that was going on with some of these people was the sorting out of their lives. And I suppose that's the second thing that I want to draw your attention to in this, is that we're meant to be Christ-like. Something of inviting God into our lives was to bring about transformation and change. And this isn't something that just happens at the moment of opening our lives to Him or conversion or whatever. However you experience that, or being filled with the Spirit, whatever it was that sort of kicked off this journey with God. And it goes on. And we all have the dark recesses of our minds and our hearts, all those things hidden away in us, all those attitudes, those rough edges. And just like some of the people in the Bible, Jacob had got in a mess. Gideon was hiding from things. Peter was heartbroken at how he'd let his Lord down. There were habits, there were patterns of life. There's things that need to be sorted out. And having the courage to put yourself or allow yourself to encounter God. And I think many of us are only looking for certain sorts of encounters with God. The thought of a meeting with God that might change some of the things that I'm maybe not sure that God's happy with, but I'm comfortable with them. They allow me to lead my life the way I want. Maybe in the area of habits that we have, or lifestyle, or my money. I'm sitting here thinking, my eating habits. Do I really want to encounter God on those sorts of things? And perhaps we need to have the courage, and perhaps together in small groups and things we could actually talk in reality about what our lives are like, and could God encounter us on some of those things. I suppose one of the things I'd also want to mention as well is that God encounters us because He wants to bring encouragement, strength to us, wants to reveal Himself as loving Father. So to someone like Zachariah, who'd been crying out for this child, and God breaks into his life in that time when Zachariah's on duty in the temple and encourages him, speaks to him. You all know what it's like, if you remember way back when you were at school. I certainly remember my headmaster many years ago stopping me in the corridor to say that he'd heard that I had been doing well at my cross-country running, and he just wanted to let me know that the school was proud of me. I never ran better than in the days and weeks after that. Zachariah, God, the God of heaven and earth, came close to him and said, I've heard you, and I want to give you a child. And sometimes it's as simple as that you don't want to wander through the whole of your life trying to be faithful to God without it ever becoming a relationship that's two-way. So there's something about searching out encounters with God that just bless us, encourage us. He's our dad, we're His children. Why wouldn't He want to pat us on the head, or put a hand on our shoulder, or look us in the eye, smile at us, say you're doing well? Of course, He may come back the next week and say, no, there's something else now needs to be changed that you're not so good at. Let me, I know we're rushing through all of this quite a bit, so let me give you some hints as to how these things may have happened in these people's lives. One was, you know, the one where Peter met Jesus on the beach. That's the John 22. It's John 21. John 21, sorry. Where Peter had been out fishing with the other disciples. It's after the resurrection. And John, who was sort of younger, I suppose, maybe not concentrating as much, but he saw the figure on the beach and he said, there's the Lord. Peter immediately, it says, jumped out of the boat. Peter's heart was after Christ. There's a challenge. Is your heart after God?